Hello everyone! Ragnaros the Firelord was one of the 4 elemental lords. He ruled for a very long time until we killed him during the Cataclysm. But what's his story and how did he end up on Azeroth in the first place? That's what we're going to find out, so let's begin, shall we? In the early days of Azeroth, before the Titans came and reshaped the world was in chaos. The old gods ruled the planet, had enslaved the elemental lords, and they forced the elements to fight with each other. These 4 elemental lords were Azeroth the Windlord, Pharazôn the Stone Mother, Neptulon the Tidehunter, and Ragnaros the Firelord. This conflict between the elements made primordial Azeroth a very chaotic place, which the old gods love. They love chaos, they feed on it. Eventually, the planet was found by the Titans, and the Titans' their mission is to bring order to the universe, the complete opposite of what the old gods want, so a war for the planet followed. The Titans and their creations battled with the elements and the old gods. Although the elemental lords were extremely powerful, they were no match for the might of the Titans. Once defeated, the Titans imprisoned the old gods beneath Azeroth, and they banished the elements to the elemental plane. This elemental plane is a different realm created by the Titans to give the elements an area where they could roam in peace without bringing chaos to the world. Each element got their own area. Earth was placed within Deepholm, water within the Abyssal Maw, air within Skywall, and fire within the Firelands. Once the war was over, the Titans started to shape the world, and once it was finished, they called the land Kalimdor. Once their work was finished, they left the planet to do whatever the Titans are doing right now. Being imprisoned did not stop the elements from waging war with each other. For 5,000 years they battled, and they called this war the Elemental Sundering. Somewhere during this war, Ragnaros wanted to increase his power. Together with Gar and Berengeddon, they managed to corner Prince Vanderan, son of Azeroth the Windlord. Vanderan was very powerful in his own right, even if he wasn't an elemental lord himself, but in the end he was defeated and Ragnaros absorbed his essence and power. He wasn't able to consume all of it, so great was Vanderan's power, so he imprisoned the remaining essence within a talisman of elemental binding. He then split this talisman in 2 and gave one piece to Berengeddon and one piece to Gar. You might think to yourself, how is it possible that we had to fight Ragnaros within the Molten Core, since he was imprisoned within the elemental plane? We've got the Dark Iron Dwarfs and the War of 3 Hammers to thank for that one. Around 260 years ago, the 3 dwarven clans lived together in relative peace. They lived in the great city of Ironforge, and they were all ruled by High King Modemus and Vomar. The Bronzebeard clan lived close to the king, and they were the defense of Ironforge. The Wildhammer clan lived within the foothills and cracks around the base of the mountain, while the Dark Iron clan lived within the shadows underneath the mountain. A civil war broke out when Modemus passed away, since all the clans wanted to rule Ironforge. It were the Bronzebeard who had the biggest standing army, and they won the war, banishing the other clans from their mountain. The Wildhammers, they picked up their things and they moved north to build their new city of Grimbethol. The Dark Iron Dwarfs were pissed about losing their war and they vowed revenge against Ironforge. They moved to the Redridge Mountains, where they built their city called Furyw, named after their leader. All the clans were doing pretty well for several years, but the Dark Iron Dwarfs were never able to get over their hatred towards their cousins. They attacked both cities simultaneously. Furyw attacked Ironforge, while his wife Modgud attacked Grimbethol, determined to rule all of Khaz Modan. The Bronzebeard clan was able to fight off Furywn's forces, and they were forced to flee back to their own city. Modgud did a little bit better than her husband, but eventually the Wildhammer clan managed to kill her, which forced the remaining Dark Iron Dwarfs to flee to their home. Unfortunately for the Dark Iron Dwarfs, by that time the Bronzebeard clan had already made their way to Grimbethol. They came to offer their help to the Wildhammer clan, and now the Dark Iron Dwarfs were caught between 2 forces and they were quickly wiped out. This left only Furyw and his troops against the other 2 clans, and in his desperation, Furyw used his magic to summon a supernatural minion that would ensure his victory. Even to his surprise, the minion summoned turned out to be Ragnaros the Firelord, summoned into our realm because of Furyw and his magic. Ragnaros entering our world created the giant volcano we now call Blackrock Mountain, and it scarred the land of Redridge, creating Searing Gorge and the Burning Steppes. Furyw was destroyed by all of this, but his fellow Dark Iron Dwarfs were enslaved by Ragnaros. As all of this was going on, the Bronzebeard and the Wildhammer clan saw this happening and they decided to turn around and go back to their own kingdoms, thinking that nothing could have survived such a huge explosion. The one good thing to come out of this war was that these two clans were now friendly again. The Bronzebeard even offered a home within Ironforge, but the Wildhammer clan no longer wished to live underground. They eventually moved to the hinterlands and for years they traded with each other and for a time their relation was excellent. Entering this world, scorching the land, killing Faruzan and his slave in the Dark Iron Dwarfs takes a lot of power, so Ragnaros lay dormant, collecting his strength while his minions did his work. Ragnaros was unable to return to the Firelands, so his plan was to dominate and burn all of Azeroth. He had the Dark Iron Dwarfs working for him, and they created an army of living golems. They also created a new city for themselves within the mountain, and Blackrock Mountain will play a huge role within the Warcraft lore. This is the place where the first Horde made their base, where Turellian defeated Doomhammer, where Nefarian took over the Horde who remained within the mountain, and where he experimented on the different dragonflights. These are just a few examples of what's been going on near the mountain, but this is the story of Ragnaros, so I have to focus on him. The lore back in Classic wasn't great. Usually the story behind the boss was very simple. He's there, he has loot, now go and kill him. In the case of Ragnaros it isn't much different, but what we know is that he and his troops ended up at war with Nefarian and his troops. This drew attention and we found out that both of these bad guys, they wanted us dead. They wanted us dead and rule the world, so we had to put a stop to it. Another being that wanted us to fight Ragnaros was Duke Hydraxis, member of the Hydraxian Waterlords. This Duke was located all the way out in Azara and this was quite a travel back in the day, and he gave you quests that would increase your reputation and allow you to prove your worth. Eventually he would send you into the Molten Core itself, and if they found you worthy, they would give you 1 flask of water. This water was then used to douse the ruins of Warding, and you had to take care of all 7 ruins in order to fight with Majordomo Executus. You can't directly attack Executus, he makes you fight his minions, and when they're defeated, he'll submit.
Impossible. Stay your attack, mortals. I submit. Brashly, you have come to wrest the secrets of the living flame. You will soon regret the recklessness of your quest. I go now to summon the Lord whose house this is. Should you seek an audience with him, your paltry lives will surely be forfeit. Nevertheless, seek out his lair if you dare. Ragnaros the Firelord, he who was ancient when this world was young. Bow before him, mortals. Bow before your enemy. Too soon. You have awakened me too soon, Executus. What is the meaning of this intrusion? These mortal infidels, my lord. They have invaded your sanctum and seek to steal your secrets. You allowed these insects to run rampant through the hallowed core. Now you lead them to my very lair? You have failed me, Executus. Justice shall be met. Now for you, insects. Boldly usurp the power of Ragnaros. Now you shall see it.
Executus had summoned Ragnaros before he was able to fully recover. So what we faced that day in the Molten Core was just a fraction of his power.
By fire be purged! Face the flames of Sulfuron!
We managed to defeat Ragnaros after collecting tons of fire resistance gear, but we didn't exactly kill him. We simply banished him back to the Firelands, but for that moment, Azeroth was safe. Part of the loot that Ragnaros can drop is the legendary Eye of Sulfuras. Combining this eye with a Sulfuron hammer created the legendary weapon Sulfuras Hand of Ragnaros. Mortals could never dream of wielding the original hammer, but by creating their own, they managed to harness the original power. There is another legendary weapon that you can get in the Molten Core by collecting the bindings that contain the essence of Thunderan. These bindings were given to Baron Geddon and Gar, and once you collected both bindings of the Windseeker, you could do the questline. This questline would eventually force you to fight with Prince Thunderan himself in order to get his mighty weapon, Thunder Fury, Blessed Blade of the Windseeker. Which means that poor Thunderan, after being nearly fully absorbed by Ragnaros and then imprisoned for who knows how long, that we released him only to finish him off and steal his weapon. To be fair, it is an amazing weapon. Several years passed, several expansions followed in which Ragnaros didn't play a part. That is, until the Cataclysm that shook the world to its core.
The world heaves with my torment.
The mighty Black Dragon Deathwing, former guardian of the earth Neltharion, had been hiding and recovering within his lair in the elemental plane of Deepholm, the realm of earth. When Deathwing broke free and started to attack, he shattered the world and it created a rift between our world and the elemental plane, allowing the elements to attack our realm once again. For those that don't know, Deathwing was crazy and he was driven crazy by the whispers of the old gods. By their order, he summoned Ragnaros back into our world and recruited him to their cause.
Is it too late? I feel Deathwing's presence nearby.
By fire be purged!
The Firelord has risen! We must send word to the others! Let us hurry!